Hey everyone, I recently hosted DJ Ben Yosef in the studio to teach a class on cane pulling and Supios. He's a great glassblower and teacher who's worked all over the country, and we were really lucky to have him here. He's got a lot of great glass work on his Instagram page, so check that out from the description and you can see more of his work. Today, I decided to use a lot of his tips and tricks and pick up one of these purple and green Supios that I made during the class he was teaching. You can see it's hollow and it's got purple and green lines all over the outside. We're going to pick one of these up on the end of a blowpipe, roll up even more blue canes on the outside, twist them into oblivion and blow it out and see how it goes. Sound good? Let's get started. First part of the process is already done. I made my Supio a few days ago. I added it back into the oven and I ramped it up to about 1050 degrees. My calipers are not standard calipers, they're pi dividers actually. You can see here they've got 2 points right there that I'm going to measure in full as if I was going to roll up an extra one, so that this cane will not line up directly next to that cane. It'll have a window, evenly spaced window right next to it. I think that's our space. And now, as I tighten them down, you'll see that that measurement, if you divide that down by pi, you get this measurement. So that is the diameter that I need to reach that circumference. Now I'm going to scoop my measurement just off the table so I can get to it. I'm going to take this nice, ready to go roll up plate, put it into the oven. So I prop it up. Now I'm going to just put it in there, and this oven's already sitting right around 1000 degrees. You see, I'm just going to let that sit in there and soak up the temperature while I work on the first half of the other piece that we're going to make. Now I have a chance to clean up a little bit, get my canes out of the way. Got my measurement on the table and I'm ready to go. Let's go ahead and take a little gather on the end of this. I really don't need much. Just going in to give myself a normal depth of a gather, and then I'm going to stop turning and let all the glass run right back off of there. So really, I just have the depth of the glass around the side. When I come out, my first step is to hold it up. I'm going to marver it out on the table here and just smear forward a little bit. I'm going to blow real hard. Trap the air in there. Keep that air pressure pushing, and you'll see the bubbles start to push out. I go into the heat and blow through it. Now I'm going to come over here to the black oven. Pick up this Supio by just attaching gently on the face of it. When I come out, I'll start to hold it up just a little bit. The first move is for me to sit down at the bench, adjust anything that needs to be adjusted from left to right, top to bottom, and maybe push it onto the blowpipe a little extra. Go. That's really all it takes, is just a little push from this end to smush it onto the pipe. A little centering. I'm going to re-blow. And I do have air passage. Build up a real even temperature throughout this whole Supio, top to bottom. When I come out, you'll see it all looks very hot. What I'm looking for is that even after it cools down, it shows me that it's all going to be the same temperature with no hot spots. So I come out, I'll sit it up. I can see that the tip up here is the hottest part right now, because it was in the deepest and it's the thinnest part of the glass. So I'm just going to marver, gently lean towards the tip, adding a little extra cooling to that end. We'll back to the heat. Hold it up again when I come back, same idea each time. Now you can start seeing the way the pattern shows up on the outside there. Purple lines, green lines, 5 of each. all the way across. And immediately as I start gathering, I'm going to start backing out of the glass because I don't want much material. All I really want is a thin layer of glass on the outside. So we'll be adding more glass on later. So now when I come out, you see I've got a much more manageable amount of glass than something that was largely gathered on, and I can hold it up and let that material run back. Now when I marver it, I'll be able to marver it in a way that lets me start down low, cooling the side of the metal and then raising up, and you'll see all that nice new thick glass be placed right around the side of the bubble that's evenly blown into the tip. To grab right here, I'm actually just going to create a knob by carving in gently. Now I'll leave that just a knob off the end. I'm going to stick that in the water and freeze up the end. Might hear it getting shocked in there. Now you can see it's been shattered and frozen at the tip, but not the sides. So we go back to the heat. Heat the whole thing. Now is when I can hook on my blow hose because I need to inflate it through the next part of the process. So I'll have this ready. When I get back to the bench, I'm going to grab that little line that I carved in there earlier. I'm going to grab it with the diamond shears and spin the pipe. You'll see these cane lines spiral very tightly around the internal bubble that I'll start to blow out a little bit as well. Need to chew off the bottom of this. Extra material down there is coming off. Then I need to thicken it and get it ready for another gather. What you saw there flaring up was a very heavy amount of beeswax that was layered onto the tools. Okay. So now when I come out of here, I'll hold it up a little bit as I get in the bench. Grab my wet newspaper, start shaping gently. I'll snub the tip a little bit to make it shorter because it doesn't have to be so long, but I'll also tack down the sidewall. That's really what's most important to me now. Now that we have a very nice straight sidewall, I'm going to go measure up against those calipers that I put together earlier. Perfect. Okay, I'm in here for my final heat. Pour the roll up, getting an even heat balanced out from the moil down to the tip of the glass. I don't want to overheat it because I don't want this glass to be terribly floppy. Just want the surface of it to be nice and hot. Come over here to the oven. Touch down, roll. Keeping my eye on that first one to make sure it makes sense with the last one. And it does. Now there's a series of heating I need to do here that's going to allow these to lay down carefully. See that? Just gently laying the pieces down on the bubble without crossing. consistently heating the surface mostly, smoothing out the texture, leaving the tip nice and hot. It's fine for now because I'm going to chew that little frayed edge off of there. Let's go ahead and tighten that down. Now I'm going to spin this again. We're going to retwist these lines. So I've got my heat built up. Add on my blow hose. I've quenched the bottom of the bubble in the water to help it freeze. I've got a nice even heat built up. So now I can grab the bottom again, spin, while I blow gently. Now that I've got the shape set that I like, I'm going to let it cool back down to about a dull red glow. And as it does that, the lines of color on the inside will start showing up more. That'll be nice to see. Back down to our dull red glow in the oil, ready to gather. Again, this glass is 2,100 degrees. Strip off my outside layer here because I don't really need all the glass that I get for this. Just going to paper it a little bit from the start. Go right to the heat in order to help soak up the temperature all the way through the thick bubble that I have here. You see, just stretching out the bubble by hanging it down is a nice way to shape it. I'm going to cool the bottom half. While making sure it doesn't wobble as I roll down the bench, I'm just going to freeze the tip of this, hopefully a little bit more. And then when I blow, I should be able to see the top half of the bubble up by the blowpipe starting to inflate, hopefully more than what you see down here. So I'm going to heat it up again and do that one more. Now you can see that the bubble started to inflate up here, allowing me to keep that glass nice and thick. Each time when I heat it, my goal is to heat up here mostly and not disturb that glass too much because I want to shape the glass a lot more up here. It's time to add on my blow hose. I'm going to heat and stretch as I'm getting in the bench. Blow a little bit. And then get my jacks and start designing where the shoulder is going to be. This is a very careful move in which the glass needs to really easily slide against my metal. You'll see those flare-ups every now and then. That's just the wax. Alright, so I'm starting to lay out the proportions of the piece with those tools there. I'm going to redo that by stretching, grabbing that same area with the jacks and pulling away from the pipe to elongate the neck.
A few moments later.
Way up here. And you'll notice the shoulder starts to drop out. That's good. Okay. See how much more length I got out of that piece? I drew out the whole form, defined the jack line at the top here, redefined the neck, blew a little bit, and now we're going to start compressing down the bottom here, making that bottom half of the vase looking good. So leave the neck as kind of like an extension of the blowpipe in which I can heat the rest of it, come out, turn fast, hold it up. When I get to the bench, I'll be able to blow it out into a nice wide form. See, now we're starting to show off the width of the form. The colors are going to really spiral around nicely. All right, let's go ahead and get it ready to put on a punty. Heat that up and hang it. I'm going to go take my solid iron, get a little dot of glass on the end of it. Really don't need much because this glass is going to act like a little bit of glue. Now that I've got my punty ready, got my piece flashed, keep it moving on the bench while we heat this. Go to stick on. Just going to use a little dot of attachment to start. And as I go, I can see whether it's on center or not, whether it needs to be fixed. I can see there's a high side I'll push down on. Now we have a lot less wobble. Looks good to me. I can use a few dots of water right up here on the jack line, weakening that. Stressing out that glass. You might see those little shock marks from the dot of water right there. Set it on the rail, bonk it. Breaks right off where I want it to. Now you see it's starting to really move around on its own. I'm going to give it another 5 or 10 seconds. We're going to pull and trim this when I get back to the bench. See, I've got a nice even heat throughout there. Just gently going to tweak, twist at the same time, you see? Now that I've pulled it, I'm going to pull again gently and then trim the lip off. There's a very uneven edge that I don't want for the top of my vase. I'm just going to go in with the jacks first and true it up. Then come back. These will have a nice ability to cut right through the hottest, nastiest glass that I don't want there. A lip wrap on the top of it, which will be just a little accent of color. Top of the piece. So now I have ability to go over, take a tiny little gather of glass, add a few layers of purple on it while I maintain my base. Get some color on the surface, on the tip. I'm going to reapply this once or twice. I've got my layers of color on there. I think 2 will be just fine. Go in and flash my whole piece, making sure that it's not gotten too cold in the meantime. Or continuing to heat this lip wrap, and when I get to the bench, I'm going to take this tiny little gather of purple glass and wrap it around the lip of my base. Now, it's time to really heat up the piece and finish off the shape of the lip. And the lip wrap is going to open wherever the rest of the lip tells it to go. Okay, now that I go in here and add my tool on the inside, I can flatten the lip and flare the lip. You see everything opens together. No heat. Go into the neck with some nice waxy tools and flare till I like it. Stop it there. Go back here and shape the base of the neck, make sure the foot's still flat, make sure everything works well together. Doesn't have any major wobbles. It looks very nice. Now we got to get it back in the heat and flash it. Go ahead and put it away. Just a couple dots of water on the bottom of the piece. Stressing out that attachment. We'll hang it, bonk it off very gently. Now we can smooth out the broken edge while preheating the tongs.